You spent thousands on pipes, gear, and upgrades, thinking it all made you safer. But the truth is brutal. Much of what Harley culture tells you to trust is a lie. And if you believe it, you're gambling with your life every single time you ride. Today, I'll reveal the 11 biggest myths riders fall for. And the last one may shatter everything you thought you knew about riding free. Number 11. Thinking loud pipes equals safety. The popular belief claims that thunder always demands attention, and those loud pipes make you visible to drivers on the road. This myth has become so entrenched in motorcycle culture that questioning it feels like attacking freedom itself. Riders spend thousands on aftermarket exhausts, convinced that volume equals visibility, that decibels translate directly into safety margins. Walk through any Harley dealership and you'll hear salespeople promoting loud pipes as safety equipment. The marketing message is seductive. Make noise, get noticed, stay alive. Forums and riding groups perpetuate this myth with stories that seem to prove loud pipes saved someone's life. But these anecdotal tales ignore the thousands of crashes where loud pipes provided zero protection. However, instructor reports from major riding schools show that drivers sitting inside modern soundproof cabins blasting music at maximum volume, talking on phones, and arguing with GPS systems, they simply don't hear you coming. The modern car is an acoustic fortress, designed specifically to block outside noise. Air conditioning systems, entertainment systems, and road noise create a wall of sound that your exhaust cannot penetrate. Think about your own driving experience. When was the last time you heard a motorcycle approaching from behind while you were in your car with windows up, air conditioning running, and music playing? The harsh reality is that even the loudest Harley exhaust becomes background noise in the modern driving environment. Here's what actually works according to crash prevention research. Run triangle visibility with a high-vis helmet or vest, plus auxiliary running lights positioned at fork height where driver's eyes naturally scan. Use the snftmedia weave, a gentle S-swerve when approaching potential left turners who might not see you. This subtle movement catches peripheral vision in ways that sound never could. You'll know your visibility strategy is working when driver's wheels or A-pillars show micro-movement before you commit to the pass. They actually saw you. You'll notice cars moving slightly away from lane boundaries when they spot you in their mirrors. You'll see head movements and body language that confirms visual contact, not just hopeful assumptions. If sound can betray you this easily, technology itself can turn into an even more dangerous trap. The next myth has convinced riders that computers can replace skill, leading to overconfidence that kills. Number 10. Trusting too much in ABS. The widespread assumption suggests that ABS functions as a superpower that will save you from poor choices and panic stops. Marketing materials from manufacturers promote ABS as the ultimate safety net, a technological miracle that prevents crashes through computer-controlled intervention. Riders see the ABS badge on their bikes and unconsciously adjust their risk tolerance upward, believing the system will compensate for their mistakes. Modern ABS systems are genuinely impressive pieces of engineering. They can pulse brake pressure dozens of times per second, preventing wheel lockup that would cause loss of control. The technology has saved countless riders from crashes that would have been inevitable with conventional braking systems. But this effectiveness has created a dangerous misconception about what ABS can and cannot do. Yet training organization data reveals that ABS only prevents wheel lockup. It doesn't erase gravel on the road, cancel panic braking mid-corner, or fix judgment errors when traffic cuts across your path. ABS is not an invisible shield protecting you from poor decisions. It's a backup system designed to prevent one specific type of braking failure: wheel lockup during straight-line emergency stops on surfaces with adequate traction. Try this approach to understanding your ABS capabilities. Find an empty parking lot with adequate runoff space and practice progressive max brake stops at 30, 40, then 50 miles per hour. Start slowly and build up speed gradually. Target front brake pressure at 70 to 80% of maximum load, keeping your eyes up and horizon focused. Clutch in at the end to prevent stalling. Feel how the system engages, understand its limitations, and recognize when you're asking too much of the technology. Practice this drill in different conditions: dry pavement, slightly damp surfaces, and different temperatures. Notice how ABS engagement feels different based on available traction. Learn to recognize the pulsing sensation and the sound of ABS activation so you understand when the system is working versus when you're still within normal braking parameters. The false comfort of technological gadgets backfires in predictable ways, but the obsession with flat footing may be costing riders even more in terms of actual motorcycle control and handling characteristics. Number 9. Obsessing over flat footing. Many riders believe that if both boots aren't completely flat on the ground at every stop, they're doomed to tip over and embarrass themselves in front of other motorcyclists. This quiet obsession has become one of the most psychologically damaging myths in Harley culture, driving riders to make expensive modifications that compromise their motorcycle's handling and safety characteristics. The flat footing myth creates a cascade of poor decisions that extend far beyond the simple act of putting feet down at traffic lights. Riders who prioritize standover height often sacrifice ground clearance, cornering ability, suspension travel, and ergonomic fit. They choose bikes that look right in the showroom but handle poorly on the road, creating safety compromises that far outweigh any psychological comfort gained from flat footing. State rider education programs consistently show data suggesting that skilled riders barely get their toes down and ride safer, more confidently, and with better control than those who chase flat foot perfection. The obsession with flat footing has convinced riders to lower suspension, modify seat height, and choose motorcycles based on standover height rather than riding dynamics, comfort, or intended use. Master this technique to break free from the flat footing obsession. Practice the one-cheek stop drill in a safe environment. Slide one hip off the seat toward the side you'll put down. Place your left foot on the ground for stability. Keep your right foot on the rear brake pedal and set preload on the clutch lever for smooth starts when the light changes. This technique works reliably for riders of any height on properly sized motorcycles. Resist the urge to lower suspension or modify seat height just to achieve flat footing comfort. These modifications kill lean angle capability and ground clearance for cornering. Lower suspension reduces the bike's ability to absorb road irregularities and can cause hard parts to scrape during normal cornering. Reduced ground clearance creates hazardous contact with pavement during routine leaning maneuvers. Balance myths prove costly in terms of handling and confidence, yet transferring racetrack skills to public streets exposes riders to even harsher lessons about the fundamental differences between controlled and uncontrolled environments. If these truths are already opening your eyes, hit that like button right now. It helps more riders find this message. And while you're at it, drop a comment below and tell me which mistake you've seen riders make most often. Number 8. Copying racetrack skills on the street. Professional racing creates the powerful illusion that if professionals can lean at extreme angles and brake late into corners, everyday riders can mirror those techniques on public roads. This myth has become incredibly seductive with the proliferation of track day events, motorcycle racing broadcasts, and social media content that glorifies aggressive riding techniques. The seductive appeal of track techniques creates a dangerous psychological trap. Riders watch professionals achieve incredible lean angles, late braking points, and aggressive acceleration, then attempt to reproduce those techniques in environments where such approaches are not just inappropriate, but potentially fatal. The fundamental error is treating public roads like racetracks when they require completely different skill sets and risk management approaches. Track organization data shows that attempting to copy racetrack skills on public streets has contributed to numerous serious crashes among riders who confuse controlled environments with chaotic public roads. The track is engineered for perfection. Known surface conditions, predictable layouts, medical support standing by, and no oncoming traffic, pedestrians, or random obstacles. The track environment eliminates virtually every variable that makes street riding dangerous. No gravel, oil patches, or debris. No intersections with cross traffic. No pedestrians, dogs, or deer. No oncoming vehicles in your lane. No blind corners hiding stopped school buses. No construction zones or emergency vehicles. And no weather-related traction changes mid-corner. The mental shift required for safe street riding involves understanding that tracks reward aggression, while streets reward adaptability. Track success comes from pushing limits and finding the edge of traction, bike performance, and personal skill. Street success comes from maintaining margins of safety and adapting to changing conditions with smooth, controlled responses. Use this strategy for safe street cornering. Employ late apex techniques with wide visual scanning. Leave escape space in every corner, avoid knee-dragging or peg-scraping heroics, and practice narrating hazards 2 to 3 seconds before they appear. Late apex cornering keeps you wide on corner entry, providing maximum sight distance and escape options while allowing later speed decisions based on what you can actually see. Street riding demands survival instincts and risk management skills, and that truth becomes crystal clear once you discover what bulky, ill-fitting safety gear can really do to compromise your control and reaction times. Confidence doesn't come from inches, it comes from skill and setup. The rider gear and accessories I've linked below help you ride sharper, not just lower. Number 7. Wearing too much or too bulky gear. The common notion insists that more gear always means safer riding. Pile on layers until you're invincible, and weight equals protection. This myth has convinced riders that safety comes from maximum coverage and bulk rather than appropriate protection that maintains mobility and control. The gear industry often promotes this misconception by suggesting that more expensive, heavier, and bulkier equipment automatically provides superior protection. The psychology behind overgearing often stems from fear and the misconception that padding equals protection. New riders especially fall into the trap of thinking that if some protection is good, maximum protection must be better. This leads to gear choices that prioritize psychological comfort over practical effectiveness, creating restrictions that interfere with the precise control needed for safe motorcycle operation. What rider surveys and crash studies show is that overly bulky gear can make you slower to react, stiffer in emergency maneuvers, and more vulnerable to fatigue-related mistakes. The myth of maximum armor has quietly convinced riders that layering up turns them invincible, when in reality, gear that restricts movement can actually increase crash risk by limiting your ability to respond effectively to emergency situations when precise control inputs matter most. Consider what happens when your trusted armor starts restricting instincts and dulling reactions. You might choose the stiffest gloves because they look tough, or strap into a jacket so heavy it feels like carrying a passenger. That heavy boot refuses to flex when you need to pivot. Those gloves kill your ability to feel clutch engagement. That jacket locks your shoulders so tight you struggle to turn naturally or execute emergency steering maneuvers. Implement this solution for optimal gear selection. Wear CE Level 2 armor that allows you to touch thumb to pinky without strain, squat fully without restriction, and shoulder check freely without binding or limitation. Your gear should feel like a second skin that moves with you rather than against you. Protection should enhance your capabilities, not restrict them. Protection without freedom backfires in predictable ways, and nothing proves it faster than riders avoiding the weather conditions that could actually build the most valuable motorcycle control skills available to any rider willing to learn. Number 6. Avoiding riding in the rain. The prevailing wisdom suggests that rain is too dangerous. Smart riders wait for sunny skies, garage their bikes during weather, and avoid any moisture on the road surface. This myth has created a generation of fair-weather riders who panic at the first sign of clouds and miss out on some of the most valuable learning experiences available to motorcyclists. The rain avoidance myth creates riders who are unprepared for inevitable weather encounters and who never develop the smooth technique that makes them safer in all conditions. Riders who consistently avoid wet weather remain fragile, untested, and unprepared when weather changes unexpectedly during rides or when emergency situations require riding in less than perfect conditions. Instructor reports from major riding schools consistently show that rain creates more skilled, smooth, and precise riders than any training course ever designed. Rain is the ultimate teacher because it punishes sloppy technique instantly while rewarding smooth, precise control inputs. Every throttle movement, brake application, and steering input gets magnified feedback in wet conditions. Rain provides immediate feedback on technique quality that dry weather riding masks. Jerky throttle inputs that might go unnoticed on dry pavement cause immediate rear-wheel slip in wet conditions. Excessive brake pressure that merely reduces stopping efficiency on dry roads can cause dangerous wheel lockup on wet surfaces. Aggressive steering inputs that work fine in dry conditions can cause front wheel loss in the rain. Apply this method for safe wet weather riding. Add 2 to 3 seconds of following distance beyond your normal safety margin. Brake earlier and more gently than usual. Avoid painted lane markings and metal surfaces that become slippery when wet, and reduce lean angles by 20 to 30% from dry weather norms. These adjustments create safety margins that account for reduced traction, while building skills that make you smoother in all conditions. Bypass riding during the first 10 minutes of light rain when accumulated oil and debris lift off the pavement surface, creating maximum slipperiness before the road gets thoroughly washed. This is when rain is most dangerous, because the water mixes with accumulated oils without washing them away. Storms sharpen fundamental riding skills that improve safety in all conditions, but the numbers printed on your swing arm could quietly betray you at the worst possible moment by providing inappropriate guidance for actual riding conditions and load requirements. Number 5. Blindly following the tire pressure sticker. Standard motorcycle culture declares that the pressure number printed on the swing arm or listed in the owner's manual represents gospel truth. Never change it, never question it, never adapt it to actual riding conditions. This myth has created riders who trust printed numbers more than their own experience with how their motorcycle handles under different conditions, loads, and environmental factors. The dangerous misconception treats tire pressure as a set-and-forget specification, rather than a dynamic tuning tool that should be adjusted based on conditions, load, and intended use. Riders who never adjust pressure miss opportunities to optimize handling, safety, and tire life while potentially creating dangerous situations through inappropriate pressure for current conditions. Tire manufacturer data shows that optimal pressure is alive and dynamic. It shifts with ambient temperature, load conditions, riding style, tire wear patterns, and even altitude changes. The factory number represents a compromise between various factors including tire life, fuel economy, and handling balance under idealized conditions that may not match your actual riding situation. Modern tire technology and construction allow for pressure adjustments that can dramatically improve handling, comfort, and safety when applied correctly. Understanding how pressure affects contact patch shape, heat generation, wear patterns, and handling characteristics allows riders to optimize their motorcycles for specific conditions and uses. Monitor pressure changes during extended rides, especially in hot weather when tire heating can increase pressure significantly above cold settings. Check pressure after 10 to 15 minutes of riding to understand how your tires respond to normal operating temperatures, and adjust down 1 to 2 psi if the center of the contact patch shows signs of overheating or excessive wear. Dodge the mistake of riding winter mornings on summer pressure settings when cold temperatures can drop tire pressure significantly below optimal levels. Cold weather can reduce tire pressure enough to affect handling, increase rolling resistance, and create dangerous handling characteristics that compromise safety and control. Understand that different riding styles, road surfaces, and trip types may benefit from different pressure settings within the manufacturer's safe range. Touring with luggage requires different pressure than solo sport riding, and understanding these differences allows for optimization of performance and safety. If a simple sticker can mislead you about something as fundamental as tire pressure, imagine what happens when riders chase horsepower numbers instead of mastering the control skills that actually keep them alive and enjoying every mile on the road. Number 4. Chasing power instead of control. The cultural message embedded in motorcycle marketing preaches that more horsepower automatically equals more status, dominance, and respect on the road. This myth has created an entire industry focused on selling power upgrades, performance modifications, and horsepower bragging rights rather than the control skills that actually determine riding safety and enjoyment. The power-chasing myth creates a dangerous psychological trap where riders believe that mechanical modifications can substitute for skill development. They invest thousands in performance upgrades while neglecting the practice time, instruction, and experience that would actually make them faster, safer, and more capable riders. Trainer reports from major riding schools suggest that chasing power while ignoring fundamental control development has wrecked more rides, destroyed more enjoyment, and created more dangerous situations than mechanical failures, poor maintenance, or equipment problems combined. The obsession with power numbers creates riders who are overpowered and underskilled. Power-to-weight ratios in modern motorcycles already exceed what most riders can safely utilize. Adding power without proportional skill increases often creates dangerous mismatches between rider capability and motorcycle performance. The limitation is rarely mechanical. It's almost always the rider's ability to effectively use available power. Focus on this discipline for genuine improvement. Emphasize smooth throttle progression throughout the entire RPM range. Develop perfect clutch timing for seamless power delivery, and master seamless gear changes that maintain momentum and control. These skills multiply the effectiveness of whatever power your motorcycle produces while building the foundation for safely handling more power in the future. Develop the ability to use 100% of your motorcycle's current power output smoothly and safely before considering modifications that increase peak power but may actually reduce usability and control. Most riders never fully utilize the power their motorcycles already produce because they lack the skills to apply it effectively. Refuse the temptation to dump money into horsepower modifications when you haven't mastered stock power delivery characteristics. Power modifications often change power delivery curves, torque characteristics, and throttle response in ways that require significant skill adaptation and practice to use effectively. If you've made it this far, you're clearly serious about riding smarter. Go ahead and subscribe right now. Ego-driven upgrades create predictable problems and safety hazards. Yet few distractions rival the immediate danger of constant electronic chatter through communication devices that steal attention from the critical task of surviving in traffic. Number 3. Overusing communication devices. Popular marketing campaigns promote the idea that Bluetooth headsets, streaming music, and constant group chatter make rides safer by keeping you connected to your riding group and the outside world. This myth has created riders who treat their motorcycles like mobile entertainment centers, rather than vehicles requiring total attention and focus for safe operation. The communication device myth creates a false sense of security by suggesting that staying connected improves safety when research shows that divided attention significantly increases crash risk. Riders convince themselves that music, phone calls, and group chatter enhance their rides when these distractions actually steal mental resources needed for hazard detection and emergency response. Safety studies and crash analysis data suggest these electronic gadgets promise enhanced connection and improved group coordination, but actually deliver dangerous distraction precisely when total attention matters most for survival. The human brain cannot effectively multitask when riding demands split-second reactions to changing traffic conditions, road hazards, and emergency situations. Modern motorcycles operate in environments where successful hazard avoidance requires processing vast amounts of visual, auditory, and kinesthetic information simultaneously. Adding electronic distractions reduces the brain's capacity to process this essential survival information effectively. The seductive appeal of communication devices stems from the desire to stay connected and the misconception that experienced riders can safely multitask while riding. The reality is that even simple conversations significantly impair hazard detection, reaction times, and decision-making quality during critical moments when crashes are either avoided or become inevitable. Adopt this practice for enhanced safety and skill development. Use communication devices for emergencies only, and practice extended rides with zero audio input, just engine sound, wind noise, and road feedback that provides essential information about traction, mechanical condition, and environmental factors. Learn to appreciate the natural sounds that motorcycles and roads provide. Engine note changes that indicate mechanical conditions, tire noise that reveals traction levels, wind patterns that signal weather changes, and traffic sounds that provide early warning of approaching vehicles or emergency situations. Noise in your ears is dangerous enough, but relying on engine braking alone can be an even deadlier gamble that eliminates crucial communication with other drivers while reducing your maximum stopping capability. Number 2, relying on engine braking alone. The mechanical mindset suggests that downshifting through gears is enough to slow down safely. Use your brakes less to save them and create smoother deceleration. This myth has convinced riders that engine compression provides adequate stopping power while preserving brake components and creating a more sophisticated riding style that demonstrates mechanical sympathy and advanced technique. The appeal of engine braking comes from the smooth, controlled feeling it provides and the mechanical satisfaction of using the engine as a speed reduction tool. Advanced riders often develop pride in their ability to slow down using only engine compression, viewing brake usage as somehow less elegant or sophisticated than gear-based deceleration. Instructor reports show that engine braking alone creates dangerous stopping distances and eliminates brake light warnings that alert following drivers to your deceleration. The harsh reality is that other drivers cannot see or anticipate your slowing when you rely primarily on engine compression for speed reduction, creating rear-end collision risks that many riders never consider. Picture yourself approaching a red light, downshifting smoothly through the gears, feeling sophisticated about your technique. But the car behind you has no idea you're slowing down. No brake light warned them. Your elegant engine braking just became a rear-end collision waiting to happen. Even worse, if an emergency develops requiring maximum stopping power, you've trained yourself to avoid using the most effective tool available. Apply this technique. Use both brakes for every substantive slowdown and practice downshift plus light brake application for stability, not stopping power alone. This combination provides the smooth control characteristics of engine braking while maintaining brake light communication and maximum stopping capability for emergency situations. The technique involves coordinating downshifts with progressive brake application. As you roll off throttle and pull in the clutch for a downshift, apply light pressure to both front and rear brakes to activate warning lights and begin deceleration. This approach combines the best aspects of both methods while eliminating the weaknesses of relying on either technique alone. If engine braking can betray you this subtly by eliminating crucial safety communication, the ultimate mistake cuts even deeper into the soul of riding itself, affecting every moment you spend on two wheels. Number 1. Forgetting Harley. Riding is about flow, not force. The rookie mistake insists that muscle and brute force will conquer the bike. Grip harder, push harder, and you'll win every battle with the machine. This mindset has become the greatest betrayal of all because it lives inside the mind of nearly every new rider, destroying balance, killing confidence, and causing countless avoidable crashes that could have been prevented with proper technique. The force-based approach to motorcycle control seems logical to new riders who are used to controlling cars through steering wheels that require physical input and brute strength. They approach motorcycles with the same mindset, believing that more grip pressure, more arm strength, and more physical force will provide better control and safety. Rider education data shows this force-based approach creates tension that fights against the motorcycle's natural dynamics, turning every ride into an exhausting wrestling match instead of a flowing dance between rider and machine. The harder you fight the motorcycle, the more unstable and unpredictable it becomes, creating a vicious cycle of increasing tension and decreasing control. Visualize gripping too tight, wrestling instead of riding, and feeling freedom slip away with every mile. Maybe you tell yourself, if I just push harder, pull harder, hold tighter, I'll win. But that's the fundamental trap. The harder you fight, the worse it gets. Arms lock up, shoulders burn, every curve feels like war. Instead of enjoying the ride, you're drained, stiff, and always on edge. The flow indicator. You can wiggle fingers while cornering, while the bike feels planted and stable, not wrestled into submission. Your input should feel gentle and precise rather than forceful and crude. The motorcycle should respond predictably to light inputs rather than fighting against excessive pressure. Harley riding has never been about raw mechanics or sheer sound. It's about harmony created when man and machine share a single pulse, when every input flows naturally from intention to execution. Forgetting that truth turns freedom into frustration, and riders who ignore the dance never truly experience the liberation that drew them to motorcycles in the first place. And that final truth is why Harley riding is more than mechanics, more than image, more than sound. It is a dance between rider and machine, and those who forget the dance never truly ride. And that's the full list. Truths most riders never hear but desperately need. If even one of these opened your eyes, ride smarter starting today. Drop your story in the comments, subscribe for more real talk, and remember this: freedom isn't just noise and chrome, it's control, awareness, and keeping rubber side down. Ride safe, always.